Yummy. Hi everyone, today I want to talk about the Viltrox 23mm f1.4. Now I've actually had this lens for quite a while but never really gotten around to use it. But I discovered that most of the review videos out there are for stills, but I'm more curious about how this lens handles video, especially when it comes to things like continuous autofocus and all that. So let's find out. Whoops. So I wanted to show you this one first because there's a couple of misses here and there and it's a bit slow, but we'll take a look at some more tests later on. Now, if you never heard about this lens, it's an aps-c lens, so that means there's no full frame coverage, but that on the other hand makes it quite compact and affordable. And it's also available in a number of different mounts like the Canon M mount, the Nikon Z, the Sony E mount, and the Fujifilm X mount, which is the one I have right here. Now, one of the main reasons for me picking up this lens is to have a smaller and lighter lens for gimbal shots. Now, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy shooting with the Sigma 1835. However, that lens at its 810 grams plus the lens adapter that I have to use on my Fuji just makes it super front heavy and heavy in general. The Viltrox, on the other hand, is just 260 grams, so that's about 1/3 of the Sigma, and that just makes it lighter and faster to get everything set up and balanced on the gimbal. When it comes to autofocus, the Viltrox has an SDM or a stepping motor, and the autofocus is actually quite smooth. And as you can see here, I did some tests with face detection and eye autofocus, and it sticks to my face pretty well, even if I'm wearing glasses. I could probably get some better results if I were to do some adjustments on my autofocus settings, but this is straight out of the box. And just a reminder to all of you out there, this is shot on a Fuji, and the autofocus isn't quite on par with some Canon and Sony cameras. It's not bad, but it's not quite as good as those cameras, so keep that in mind when you see these clips. Now, the focus breathing isn't terrible either. I've definitely seen worse than this. The minimum focus distance on this lens is 30 centimeters, so even if it's a wide-angle lens, you can still get pretty close to your subject and get some really nice bokeh thanks to the aperture at 1.4. And these ones here are with area autofocus. And the racking is pretty smooth and I don't see a lot of jumps really. Now, when it comes to doing manual focus with this lens, it's not my favorite, but that's mainly because it's focused by wire. The focus ring is actually pretty wide and smooth, and the focus throw is half decent actually. But the focus ring seems to be made out of some sort of unclad metal. A rubber grip would have been a nice touch, but well, And speaking of metal, this is an all metal lens, the mount back here, and even the lens hood is made out of metal. And a word of caution, I've heard some photographers or users, owners of this lens, accidentally dropping the lens onto the lens hood, and that kind of breaks the lens because it doesn't flex or break like a hood out of plastic would. So, you know, keep that in mind. And here's something that may cause some confusion, the clickless aperture. Now, it's not a declicked aperture. You're still gonna get, or at least I do on my Fuji, get the same kind of incremental steps when I change or rotate the aperture ring. It would have been nice with a declicked aperture, but it's not. So take it for what it is. It works just like a regular photography lens. And I've heard some people complaining about the aperture ring being turned by accident because of the clickless design. However, me personally, I have to, really struggle to get in there and grip the aperture ring to make changes. So I don't think that's going to be a problem for everyone. And now for some more details and things that are good to know about this lens. First up, there's a Mark I and a Mark II version of this lens. And you can tell the difference by the letters and the fonts on the lens itself. The Mark I have these bolder golden letters, while the Mark II have these, more normal looking white letters. So try to get the Mark II, the newer version, if possible. Secondly, there's a USB port on the mount of the lens right here, and you use that to update the firmware of the lens. Since this is a third-party lens, you won't get any performance updates or what have you with the camera firmware. So you need to keep everything updated by yourself. But it's super easy. It's just a matter of a drag and drop procedure and you're done. So to round things off, I think this is a surprisingly good lens, especially for the price. It's fast and it's sharp. And, most lenses are at the worst when you shoot with them wide open, but I won't hesitate to use this lens at f1.4. The autofocus isn't dead silent, but it's probably quite enough, so you won't have any problems with autofocus noises in your external microphones if you're using the lens for vlogging or what have you. And, well, if there's any more questions about this lens, please let me know and I'll try to answer as many of those in an upcoming video as I can. Now, with that said, I want to thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!